Hello, this is Marie Manucherry. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for liking and subscribing below. Today I wanted to talk to you about spiritual reasons why things happen. And so obviously I'm talking not about what we might consider positive things in the world that are occurring, but what humanity feels are negative things that are occurring in the world. And I use the term humanity because beings, that means all of us are beings as well, but beings who are outside of a physical reality like Earth have very different experiences than when we are housed in a human structure, when our spirit is filled up in a body. We have very different experiences and very different perceptions about the experiences, which in my opinion are relatively limited. So of course there's going to be human reactions and human responses to things that are occurring in the world, but there are also spiritual reasons why things are happening, because the earth realm is meant to transform. It's meant to expand. At the same time that that is true, it's also perfectly fine that the earth is exactly the way it is, because the way it has been designed by creation. So earth was designed to operate in the manner that it does by the universe, God, creation source, and as an opportunity for our souls, these huge, humongous, highly vibrational, very conscious and highly aware beings, to have different options about how to learn or experience many, many, many unique things. And so Earth is a unique reality that is created by the divine so that we can have an experience. And in reality, the divine creates everything: diseases, surgeries, vaccines, war, peace, everything that is happening in all of the universes comes from creation. Everything does. And you may be saying to yourself, well, creation would never do that. Creation would not create a war, that's a mind-made circumstance. Well, yes, humanity is obviously the front and center aspect of war, but war and conflict and problems are created just like happiness and joy and love and compassion, especially when we look at a reality like Earth, where this reality was meant to be created as contractual. And contractual means that there's contrast occurring all the time on the planet, constantly. And this contrast is helping your higher self, the consciousness that you did bring to Earth at this time, to live in the 21st century that you have decided to live in, a personal choice that you made before you reincarnated, an excellent, personal, highly valued, necessary choice that you decided to make before you reincarnated, that these contractual experiences could indeed help you to expand into a different reality, into a new way of being, into a new way of thinking. So let's pick a human problem and see if we can arrive. I know we can. I already have, my own experiences regarding this, but see if we can arrive at a different way of looking at this bigger picture. Because the earth is not as transformative as other realms outside of it. So there are hundreds of thousands of time-space realities, mostly non-physical, but some other physical time-space realities. And Earth is kind of a slow growing entity. It doesn't grow very fast. Its consciousness is kind of slow. And we all know this before we come to Earth. And so I think it's fascinating and interesting that we still choose this place. It also means that it works, that coming into a physical reality and having a contractual experience helps you to grow, helps you to morph, helps you to change your perception. If you can think of anything in your life that was really difficult or challenging, and how you perhaps viewed it in one particular way until you were able to change it or walk away from it, and then you had a completely different transformative experience from it, that is one of the beauties of living in a time-space reality. Not to mention, it's gorgeous here. As I'm talking to you on camera, I'm looking out of my dining room window and I have this really, really pretty potato plant that grows up one of the pillars and on this kind of lattice. It's not lattice, but I don't know what to call it. And it's stunning. So not only do you get to work on stuff that maybe have been haunting you in some way over centuries of time, but you get to live in a place where you can run in a body, make love in a body, which all of my guides have told me many, many times. There's nothing really like having sex in the human form. That it's very different when you're outside of a body. It's not as potentially delicious, apparently. And that these other things that we consider to be negative or unhealthy for us, are they? Are they? Are they? And of course, when a person is in the center of a challenging moment, then of course it's horrifying, and we don't want anyone to experience, hardships of difficulty or illness or death or fear. We don't want those for anyone, but they are transformative experiences as well for them. And on top of that, Earth is not a permanent reality. It's a temporary reality, meaning that everything that comes to Earth eventually leaves, including glaciers and trees and bodies of water. There are reasons why some areas of nature don't want to be here any longer. So trees can live for vast amounts of time, especially in undisturbed forests. And yes, we don't have as many of those as we used to. But imagine if you were a tree and you were about 400 years old and you really didn't want to be a tree anymore. And maybe some of the same species of the tree that you are don't want to be on Earth either. But they decided to come into the existence of a tree that's living in a very natural and protected forest, and the chances of a fire occurring hasn't happened, and you really want to leave Earth and you want to move into a different type of experience. Because when a soul leaves a body, an animal, a plant form, even a rock, souls also make up oceans and glaciers, of course, that time can seem very strong. And if a soul is really determined to leave that time-space reality, it hopes for a distinction of its species potentially, or it hopes for a flood or a fire so that the energy can be escaped. So when a soul allows some of its energy, because your soul will never bring all of its energy into a physical reality. The soul is too vast and too large to occupy one human form. Souls usually have multiple lifetimes going on multiple times in many, many different time-space realities. And the word time needs to be erased from that. I still say that word, even though time is an illusion. It's not a real thing. So your soul is having multiple lifetimes in vast numbers of realities, very different from Earth. So you're having multiple different high vibrational experiences. Earth is considered a low vibrational experience, even though I love it here. So your soul is having tons of experiences. So imagine if you're a tree and you can't wait to leave your beautiful trunk and your roots and your branches and your leaves and go off and have a different experience. And so the next time you are told, or you see it yourself, because I did see it when I was traveling in Alaska a couple of years ago, and it was pointed out to me by a naturalist who was on the ship explaining environmental issues like climate change, that there was a beautiful species of oak trees that was dying in the regional forests throughout Alaska. And you could see the gray that was peeking up in between other trees. And the scientists explained to us that it took about 65 years for the tree to even die. So it takes that long for the energy to escape and go off and to be something different. So although it is important that we take good care of our bodies and we take good care of our earth and our water, but can we also celebrate the decision of energy wanting to transform? In fact, if we can start to have spiritual, which are highly accurate perceptions of what's occurring. Is climate change real? Sure. Is it happening? Of course. These are all accurate things, but there's a spiritual, accurate perspective of what's occurring that really needs to occur. Not just the fact that we need to reduce our carbon use here on the planet, of course, but we also need to celebrate the decision of a soul wanting to be something else. And in that celebration, we're going to help the soul to actually leave its body with less effort, because so many humans are upset and angry and hurt that a species, whether it's four-legged or it has a trunk or two-legged, is having issues and isn't doing well in the environment. We need to also look at it that it's a very powerful spiritual being whose wisdom goes beyond anything humanity could possibly imagine, and its desires are profound and rich and powerful. Another example, And I'm giving you these examples so that you can stretch out your awareness and not be imprisoned by the limited human potential of what someone thinks is going on. That's a very limited perception. When I think of the virus that is around the world right now, and the fact that we have a new variant, a strong and what seems like a powerful variant, I was told a few days ago that the reason why we have this variant is from its spiritual perspective, which is more important than the human perspective. Because if we can recognize the spiritual perspective, then we can make some profound changes that encompass a shift in consciousness, which is really why anything is happening on the earth, whether it's happening to you personally or it's happening to us globally, is to help us change our perception and have a more expanded view of truth. So when the virus came to earth and began to affect humanity, many companies all over the world allowed their employees, if they could, to work from home. And that was a really good call, not only for safety, but more importantly for humanity to have a very different experience. Freedom is really essential for the human race right now so that they can expand and have different experiences and have unique experience and not be controlled by a desk, a cubicle, managers and bosses. Not that those things, managers and bosses disappeared when people work from home, but someone can get up and go eat food whenever they wanted to, walk to the kitchen, make a sandwich. People could work late at night if they wanted to. You could, wear whatever clothing you wanted, unless you're having a meeting on Zoom, then you need to make sure, at least from the waist up, that everything looks good. People could spend more time with their family members, take walks during the day in their neighborhoods. It actually was helping humanity rest more and reevaluate what brings them joy. Because when you are at home and you have time to yourself, you begin to contemplate your own personal experience and what would be in your highest good to have more joy. That was starting to go away before the variant occurred that is now, important in the news. Companies were requesting their employees to return to work. And probably for some monetary reasons, because what we found out is that people are, many of them, more productive when they work from home. Interesting. I'm not surprised. I work from home and I'm very productive, in my opinion. So now, because the spiritual lesson was somewhat lost, a variant has come in, because this is a very important aspect of consciousness for humanity to evolve. People need to become more unique, more independent, have more freedom, and not be imprisoned by something like work, or reduce their imprisonment time significantly in interactions. So the variant came in because companies were like, okay, well, you need to return to work by September, and now with the variant, that's going to change things. Again, it gives companies opportunities to reevaluate their workforce and how they want individuals to work. So if we can collectively allow people more freedoms in their work environment globally, which is what happened initially, then we will have a reduction in variance. We will have a reduction in illness. We will have a reduction in health problems regarding this particular virus, maybe even other health issues. And because stress going into offices, and working with all kinds of people that sometimes you don't want to spend time with for 8 to 10 hours a day is a lot of stress. Getting in cars and driving 30, 40, 60, 90 minutes every day back and forth is also stress for humanity. So when anything is happening on the earth, I would love for you in some form of meditation, which could be a bubble bath or laying in a hammock. It doesn't have to be the traditional form of meditation. Anything that's going to get you in a relaxed place. Ask your higher self, the universe, because they are best friends. They are all one, to show you the spiritual meaning behind this thing that we think is not so great. And of course, for anyone who's suffered, through illnesses or war or famine, of course, it's not fun at all. And we don't want that for anyone. But there are spiritual reasons that are huge and transformative, that the energy is trying to change so that humanity will have a different experience. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Bye-bye.